Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are. Hello and welcome to episode 198 of the Terrible Book Club. I'm Chris, and this is Paris.
Hello.
We did a recap of the non-TBC books, music, and video games we enjoyed at the end of last year, so we thought it might be fun to assess 2024 halfway through and talk about good media that we have enjoyed. This time, we read stuff not for TBC. We listened to music, watched TV and movies, and played video games like normal people.
Except not as much as I wish I did because my life is pain, because that's how I roll.
Yeah, and like it turns out when you're making music, it makes it hard to listen to other music as much because you're sitting at your studio desk and going, why the fuck doesn't this sound good? God damn it.
Oh, that is my life right now. And I can't tell you how much pain I'm in.
Right there with you.
At least all your instruments are recorded, Chris.
That's true. Anyway, if this is your first time listening to this show, maybe choose another episode because it's not the normal thing here. What we normally do here at Terrible Book Club is read books that we assume will be bad based on their cover, title, summary, or some combination of the three. So we do the opposite of what most people do in a bookstore or while they're browsing the internet. Usually this experiment results in a disappointing read, but once in a while we end up liking the book. Today, though, we're actually talking about our personal media consumption so far in 2024, so you'll hear about things we actually liked for once.
Whoa!
Hooray!
Whoa!
And our content warnings are just our usual barnyard language, since we're not going to get that deep into content, I think. I mean, some things, you might bring up some fun stuff, but we will see how that rolls.
Right, so you're going to get little bite-sized commentary on things like books and albums we liked and video games we played or whatever. And hopefully this is a nice little bomb, just about maybe a little more than halfway through the year, but
blam!
No, like B-A-L-M, a bomb.
It could be both, maybe. A bombing bomb.
A
bomb.
The English language is just broken. Anyway. I guess what would make the most sense if we started with books, and then if you don't give a shit about like movies or TV or music or video games or whatever, you can just like leave after that if you want.
Exit.
So let's do the book content up front because I think folks are interested to know what we're reading other than TBC stuff. So Chris, you are accidentally first, so go for it.
All right. Do you want me to go down my entire list, or do you want to like trade off? How do you want to deal with this?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you should do each one in your list, and then I'll do mine. I think that's fine.
Okay, there's mild crossover. There's going to be a little bit of crossover there, so we will. I'll save that one for last. That's a good segue.
I love how there's like listeners. You're here in the room while we're making the rules.
Hastily throwing together an episode.
I was in the room where it happened that day. No, actually, should we just tell everyone why this episode is happening?
Sure, why not?
So, I mean, we were thinking of doing this anyway, but we were probably going to do it later in the year because we did it last year, and it was kind of nice, actually, to sort of recap, like, I don't know, just have a regular people episode, be like, hey, here's the regular stuff we do, here's regular stuff that's going on. But then we had a bit of a scheduling snafu, so even though we record months and months and years in advance, we still managed to have a little bit of a hiccup. We did an episode where things didn't go as planned, let's say, and the folks we were doing the episode with was like, they were just like, we'd really rather you not air that. So respecting our podcast buddies and guests, we obviously we're not going to be like, fuck you, we're going to air it anyway. So we figured, what the fuck, why not? We'll do this episode earlier than we planned. So this is sort of a treat because I think we're only doing this like, a month in advance. 6 weeks in advance.
Oh,
normally,
tight editing window for me.
6 weeks in advance. Yeah,
I'll be fine.
No, normally we're recording like 2 to 6 months in advance, sometimes even greater. So yeah, this will be a little more current with your reality. So, it's July right now, for reference. It's July.
Okay, so why don't we start talking about some books? Unfortunately, I still didn't really read a ton of great books this year.
I mean, yeah.
I turned my attention more to good music this year, so the books kind of fell to the wayside, and TBC did take over a lot, but I still managed to read a good handful of things. I mean,
and hey, it's only July in our world, so we're like halfway done with the year.
You got plenty of time. So the first thing that I read that I thought was interesting and noteworthy was Piranesi by Susanna Clarke.
Oh yeah, that's been on my list. I haven't gotten to it yet, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
I decided to read it because, I don't know, I was just looking for book recommendations on the books Reddit at one point, and it got brought up as something that was sort of unique and original, and someone even mentioned like, oh, reading this book changed my life, and I was like, what do you mean? So I read it.
Okay, that's quite the claim.
First of all, I don't understand how this could change your life. I really don't think. So it's a story about it's House of Leaves-ish. You get thrust into this world where the protagonist seems to reside in this like expanse of infinite halls and rooms. And he has taken it upon himself to catalog the features of like Hall A and then Room 87. And
holy shit, Chris! This is like a combination of Terrible Book Club and the Antiques Freaks interests. Like this is the horrible love child of our pod marriage to the Antiques Freaks, isn't it?
I suppose you could. I mean, it seems to take place in this expanse where there's a lot of like white detailed statues and like columns and like things like that going on forever and ever. It floods every so often. This person, the person that's in this expanse has only ever seen one other human being ever. And they periodically meet up to talk about like just random bullshit, and like really the main character's only interested in telling the other guy about, hey, I found this other hallway or I found this other room and here's what's in it, and the other guy's like, yeah, sure, whatever, fine, cool. And it just sort of spirals out from there. I don't want to spoil things too much, but
that sounds cool as hell.
It's a cool premise. It again, very House of Leaves, but by the end of it I was kind of left scratching my head as to what the point of the story was.
Well, this seems to be something vibes. Clarke. Yeah, well, first of all, yeah, it sounds interesting, but that really seems to be something that Clarke herself is interested in, because I have read the other side of the Clarke coin, which is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, or Norrell, however, Norrell. After I watched the TV show and really loved it. Well, watched the TV show at first, I was like, I don't know about this. And then as it went on, I was like, oh, I like this. And then I was like, damn, I got to read the book. I really loved this. Because it's a mini series. I think it's like 7 episodes or something. It's not like you don't have to sit there and be like, when's season 70 Dicks coming out? It's not one of those. It's nice and contained. But I really didn't like the book as much as I liked the show. I gotta say, I think it was better served by the visuals and the acting. I mean, if you like your shit as dry, as British dry as like fucking hardtack, like a dusty ass crumpet, then I guess it's for you. Because like, it was rough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like my humor dry. I like my shit parenthetical. I like a footnote. But like, this was, I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but it was a slog, and it was not what I was hoping for. That being said, I I would try another book by her. Sorry, I lost my main point. Speaking of being lost in fucking rooms, what I was going to say was that in Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, the magic system is interesting, and one of the components is that the world of the Fae exists through mirrors, and like you end up in these rooms, and oftentimes you can't get out of them, and there's like areas and stuff. So magic is in like the mirror world, and it's a series of wacky rooms and places and groves and stuff. So this idea is very
Malazan
central.
there.
Yeah, it is like the Warrens, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess Susanna Clarke really likes endless rooms and mazes and labyrinths and things like that.
Because they're sort of inhuman and impossible to understand, right? So I think, that's what draws me to them, I think.
I want to say that this book is something of a meditation on obsession or losing your sense of self to something or a pursuit. That's about as far as I'm willing to take it, because I feel like if I say anything else, it'll spoil something. You kind of lose what little magic there is in there.
Yeah.
There's some,
no, that's fair.
But like, I don't know, it didn't grab me. I'm not sure how it could change someone's life. So maybe I'm the stupid one.
No. I don't think you're necessarily stupid at all. I think that, as we've talked about many times on this show, between books and music and other forms of media, sometimes the first thing of a type that you encounter changes you, because you've never considered what it would be like to pass into a world of infinite rooms where you can't discern meaning, that floods all the time, and there's only one other person there, right? Like, they've never read House of Leaves. They've never seen Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell or read that. They've never read Malazan. They've never thought about Warrens, right? They've never, like... So if it's the first time you've approached this concept, then it could just be the novelty of it, you know?
Okay, so that's like a light recommendation. I do think there was well-written parts in there surrounding that sort of losing sense of self and obsessiveness about something that are worth looking at. And it's a relatively short read, too. So it's something that I would encourage people to try.
Yeah, it sounds up my alley. So thanks for mentioning it, because it's been on my list. I just haven't gone there yet.
I also read What My Bones Know by Samantha Fu, and truly I'm only halfway through.
Also on my list. That's
okay, do you know the
really
conceit of this book?
I mean, I just know it's about trauma. I don't know anything else.
It is about Samantha Fu's journey through discovering that she has complex PTSD.
Ooh, yeah.
Due to her abusive parents.
Oh, okay.
This was recommended to me by my partner, who was like, "You should really read this, Chris. I think you should read this." Hint.
I am really glad, because I am always on the horn of like, Chris, I think delving into your mind would be helpful for you.
I'm like, "Nah, I'm cool. Everything's fine. I can think my way through it.
I'm a man. No one can tell me anything." Sorry, I'm
not
I'm
about
being
that. I just
being...
have the mental brain disease of like, if I just think right, it's cool, and I'm not thinking right. But so I'm halfway through this book, and I am seeing lots of parallels. There are things that are different that I certainly can't relate to. Like, it's actually pretty funny that in the course of the book, she's like, "I got a job on This American Life as an audio engineer at 25. And I'm like, fuck.
Dude, that's the worst when you're reading a book and you're like, fuck, this person's so wildly successful at such an early age. I hate this. Why is this happening?
And they're more fucked up than me. God damn it.
Yeah. No, as we've said many a time, there's no,
not a competition.
Scale,
but in my own head for a minute there, I was like, "Ah, shit." Yeah. So I am enjoying how the author is putting things, and it is unfortunately relatable to me for at least one half of my family. Thankfully, not both parents, like is described in this book. But as I go further and further into it, I am seeing things that make me go like, "Hey, yeah, maybe I can't just think right through all this. I should perhaps get some help." So thanks, Samantha.
I guess I owe Rebecca like a fruit basket or something, because she finally got you to do it. It's good. Good.
I'm only like 30% of the way through this, and this is, again, like, you're seeing that I haven't quite finished things all the way through, but the things I'm getting to after this I have completed. I just wanted to make note of the fact that I started reading Shadow and Claw by Gene Wolfe.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Also recommended to me by the fantasy subreddit as like something that's fairly unique and a little bit more literary than other fantasy novels.
I mean, Chris, this was recommended to you by me, wasn't it? Because I read it a couple years ago.
Maybe a couple years ago you recommended it to me, but
I've talked about it on the show like 4 times in the last year, so I don't know if you should credit a Reddit post.
Well, the Reddit post is what got me to read it. So.
Fuck you! God damn it.
Okay, I wanted a second opinion from a rando on the internet. Clearly, I don't respect what you're saying. I'm sorry. I apologize.
God fucking damn it. Well, yeah, if that's... anyway, go ahead.
I apologize, but I kind of put it down 30% of the way through when there was 2 back-to-back segments where, like, these 2 different ladies kind of fell in love with him immediately just because he was this guy that was nearby. I was like, I really could do without this. I could see what people are getting at when they say it's a little bit more literary style fantasy. I was kind of confused as to exactly what was going on for like the first 5 to 10% of the book. It doesn't really throw plot at you immediately.
Yeah.
Which is fine for me, especially when I know I'm getting into like a proper fantasy world. So I might want to give it a second chance. There's definitely really good turns of phrase.
Yes.
And prose happening in there, which is why I want to continue it. Definitely above average in terms of like how things are described and how feelings are put forth than your average fantasy novel. So I do want to delve deeper into it. It was just the Manic Pixie Dream Girl segment where he meets this lady in town because she's like the innkeep's sister, and they're like, let's go have fun on the like just get into crazy hijinks. And I was like, okay, I've had enough of that.
Yeah. So I finished the first 2 books, because they come together as the Book of the New Sun, and so I bought that off my friend Mike Greylord, who always is selling fantasy books and stuff. I got it, I think in 2021. I bought it from him, and I read it that same year. So this was just a couple years ago, or 2022. What is time? Maybe it was 2022. Yeah, sorry, 2022, 2 years ago. And I told him, I was like, I finished it, but I was like, there was a lot I loved about it. I really loved this idea that the setting is... the suggestion is that it's medieval, but centuries in the future after the rise and fall of our civilization, or maybe another one after us. So it's alien, even though it's got this sort of medieval flavor, which I really enjoyed. And I do really like that Wolfe forces you to think about it and doesn't just hand you things on a platter. I think he really does a good job of dropping you into the world, and you're sort of slowly learning things as though you're walking through it, right?
100% agree on that.
Yeah, I really liked that about it. And again, I'll echo what you said about turns of phrase and stuff. I mean, I could... it's behind me. I could go grab it if I needed to, but I don't want it to take too long. This episode's going to be long as fuck.
Yeah, this isn't a serious review episode.
Us hanging out.
Yeah, we're just hanging
out. Hanging out with Hendrick's Grand Cabaret Gin, the seasonal selection.
We've got a lemon spindrift, so not as fancy.
This has notes of stone fruit and sweet herbs, and I can tell you, it fucks.
Mine tastes like lemon, and I like lemon.
I also like lemon. No, I'm a sucker for Hendrick's seasonal gins, and this one just came out, and it's fucking phenomenal. So if you're into gin, get yourself some
If we're
Grand
just
Cabaret.
talking about good beverage, if beverages count as media, can we talk about how the Polar Summer Seasonal series this year slaps? Like all
Dude,
5 of them.
It slaps every year.
No. Sometimes there's like 2 or 3 where I'm like, whatever.
No. There's one this year. Papaya Breeze just tastes like fucking breeze. Like they forgot the papaya. It's so fucking bad. The first time I had it, I was like, do I have COVID again? Fuck. I was
fine with the Papaya Breeze, but I gotta say, the sea salt watermelon,
breeze,
amazing.
Breeze.
The strawberry cream, top of the line.
Oh hell yeah!
The peach iced tea,
so good.
tits. The raspberry limoncello, also pretty good.
That's what I'm having right now with my gin, is the raspberry limoncello.
Okay.
That's Polar, once again,
yeah.
knocking it out of the summer baseball park. Okay, back to
That's the beverage sidebar. Back to books I've read. The book series that I really did devour was Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I've alluded to in previous episodes that I'm ashamed of this, and I'm not so much ashamed anymore. I think I finally figured out why I'm into this series so much, and it is simply because the author, every book is a new floor in this sort of endless dungeon game show.
That's the fucking anime that Tanner and I got sucked into.
Yeah, Delicious in Dungeon.
Yes! God fucking damn it! Oh, sorry. I didn't talk about that. Continue.
So it's like everyone on Earth is simultaneously killed if they are in a building because all buildings are just immediately flattened under the Earth's crust. That's
hilarious.
Page 2. And if you were outside at the time, you are then given the option to descend into the dungeon, which is just floor after floor after floor after floor of random bullshit for this intergalactic TV show that's happening, and Earth just got picked to be the dungeon world this season.
I actually really love this whole conceit so far. It's quite interesting.
So but as you go into the dungeon, you're given literal RPG video game menu screens and things like that. You literally level up and you manage your stats and skills and things like that. That's the lit RPG element to it. But I figured out the reason I like it is because every floor, the author has to come up with this new conceit for the floor. So one book is it's a crazy complex railway network that you have to navigate, and there's sub goals.
The fucking Diddy Kong mines.
Yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely that. And then another one is it's a snapshot of Earth right before it was completely fucked, and you have to travel to different smaller versions of cities and countries and capture mythical creatures like Pokemon and use them in fights. So, it's always just some wild shit like that, and I do think the characters are pretty endearing. Even Donut the cat, who is an annoying talking cat, which sometimes she's fine, I think. So the character work is decent, and it scratches that part of my brain that makes me play Elden Ring endlessly, which is what did they come up with? I know these people come up with crazy shit all the time. What's going to be around the next corner? I can trust that there's going to be something weird and new and fun around the next corner. So that's why I want to keep going.
Yeah, funny, I forget if we said this on an episode, but Chris was telling me, confessing his Dungeon Crawler Carl, his DCC usage to me. And it was, it was way earlier in the year. It was March or April or something. And we were recording for an episode that just came out in July, I think, or June. And before the episode even came out, our Twitter account was followed by Matt Dinneman. And I was like, Chris, what? How did he find us? How does he know?
I didn't tip him off or anything. I didn't use any of our social media accounts. So, Matt, if you're listening to this, I like your things. I can't wait for the next book. I'm going to have fun with it.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe... I mean, it seems like his series is pretty popular. It's not like he has time to sit there and look up everyone's email who purchases his book.
Oh, hell no. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no way. It's not that level of thing. So, I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, hello, Matt.
Yeah. If you're listening for some reason. I don't know why he would follow us, though. Anyway, so I like the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. It was sort of my guilty pleasure read so far this year. And finally, I read books 2, 3, and 4 of the Mistress of the Art of Death series, which includes A Serpent's Tale, Grave Goods, and A Procession of Death. I started book 5, but I kind of tapered off on it, honestly, because Paris, I come as a bearer of somewhat bad news.
Well, on my list, which Chris knows, but you do not know, listeners, is The Serpent's Tale, which is the second book.
This is a segue for us to hand it off over to you. I will say, Ariana Franklin never loses her ability to write charming characters. that you just want to read more of their interactions all the time. The dialogue in these books is always fantastic. All of these books that I've read.
And like her descriptive writing, the vocabulary, her construction of a scene. God, it's fucking top tier.
It's really good stuff, but the plot's just thin. I gotta tell you, I think it's like in book 3 where she doesn't even really do much of her Mistress of the Art of Deathing on a human body or anything. She does it to a goat that's not even relevant to the plot.
Oh, that's a bummer. It's a bummer.
But, like, it's still appealing enough for me to get carried through the story. I mean, you got Mansur and Adelia's interactions, which are always charming. In some of the books, Ulf pops up, and I love me an Ulf. I will say in book 5, he's older with a child of his own and things like that. Book 5 is like 20 years into the future.
Damn. Okay.
It's actually funny. It's not even like really Adelia. You're following her daughter doing the same thing. Like it's her daughter doing the stuff.
We've yelled at many authors for doing that. So I don't know. I mean, but I feel like if anybody could pull it off, it's Ariana Franklin, who again, I feel like the literary world lost a real queen. She sadly passed away all the way back in 2011.
Yes.
Her given name is actually Mary Diana Norman. So Ariana Franklin was just a pen name, but man, world lost a special one there in terms of wordcraft.
I agree. These are some very charming novels, and even though I kind of lost steam in book 5, I believe there's another author listed on book 5, so it could be one of those.
Oh no! Oh, I hate this. I hate knowing this, but that's okay.
I still think it's worth your time to read book 3 and maybe book 4. They are sort of companion pieces. Like there's stuff that happens in book 3 that is not at all resolved, and it's like a book 4 thing to like get through that rest of that plot line. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this book, so the first book, The Mistress of the Art of Death, again, apologies, if you're a habitual listener of the show, you know we have talked about this book many times because it's just stayed with us. And I guess us reading the rest of the series is a testament to that. But thank you to my friend Michelle for recommending this to me long ago when we worked together. God, that was... Oh, time is passing. I'm old. This was quite some time ago. Probably, not quite 20 years ago, but darn close. Maybe.
Shit.
Yeah. My friend Michelle recommended this to me and let me actually borrow the book, and I loved it, and I always thought about it since, and then I reread it, actually, with my husband, because when we first started dating, because we were dating during the pandemic, and, you know... I had to come up with things to do that didn't involve being in the same room. So we read this book together, and he's not a reader, so I was really impressed that he was interested in finish it. And, you know, he still tells me, like, it was such a good experience. So, I don't know.
First book is honestly unparalleled in terms of... It's a great mystery. All the characters are charming. If it was just left at book 1, it would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
but even like book 2, 3, and 4 is still good enough. Like it's not one of those things where like you should have stopped with the series. No, continuing is fine. Yeah. But book 1 is such a well done, self-contained thing.
It really is. It's a triumph. It truly is. I guess I'll. Sorry, I have talked a lot, Chris. I'm stepping all over your section.
No. This is the handoff to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I read The Serpent's Tail, again, the second book in that series, and I felt it was nearly as great as the first book, had excellent writing with that vocabulary and structure that teaches me something every time. My two criticisms were, I wish the main character didn't hate fat people. It's just a really weird focus a few times towards the first third of the book. Like, this doesn't spoil anything, but Adelia's just like, I can't believe he was into her. She's fat. I mean, she's fat. Why would he be into her? And I was just like, what? I don't know. It was just baffling. It was just very strange. And secondly, I didn't love that we sort of had a similar, you know, I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but there's like literally a tied-up damsel in distress moment in this at the end, and I was just like, can we fucking not? Where someone is rescued by two men, and it
kind of keeps happening.
Yeah, and it bums me out because the first book is so the whole series is so about how headstrong and independent Adelia is, and then I don't know, to have that happen several times in the series, it's just like
there's
very
a bunch of times where like Rowley rides in to rescue her. It's not every time, but and like she does get out of some tough situations on her own.
She does, yeah.
But like every once in a while, it's still like, and then Rowley came in all swashbuckly and bishop-like.
Well, anyway,
and then honestly, and then every time Henry II shows up, it's just such a fun fucking scene. Like Henry II in these books is just
he's
a riot.
good one in these. Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I trust that the author. She seemed as one to have done her research, so I'm interested to know what she based this portrait of Henry II on. Anyway, if you're into medieval stuff, if you're into good mysteries, check out this series. I still think for all of our, little barbs and criticisms here, this series and this author is just far superior to so many other things I've read. So I think you should check it out. And I'm still looking forward to books 3, 4, and 5, despite my slight disappointment with some minor things here and there in book 2. All right. Literally everything else this year was from my work book club. So
right, that's fine. If they're making you reading some decent stuff.
Oh, work book club is great because I see people at work book club that I don't see at work because we don't work together on projects, so like our jobs don't cross really. For most people in it, so it's just a nice way to spend time with some of my coworkers who like live far away and like we don't really cross over in our day-to-day, so it's cool. And our book club at work has a strict limit, so we try to keep things to like sub 200 pages. Occasionally we'll go over 200 if everybody votes on it and it's fine and like we have enough time. We do 1 book a month, and so it's pretty low commitment. So yeah, it's a really good, it's good. Yeah, we do ranked choice voting every month on the book, and we just read whatever it is. And I read it every time, regardless of whether or not I want to. The only time I skipped was when someone's book was chosen and the author was there, and I felt too awkward because I knew I would hate it, and I just didn't read it, and I noped out of that meeting. I was like, nope, sorry.
Valid.
Yeah, I was just like,
and they know you're a book reviewer podcaster too, right? So like, yeah, I would also step aside in that scenario.
Yeah, I was just like, look, man, I'm not gonna have any nice things to say, and I don't want to read because it was also longer than our usual cutoff too. So I was like, I'm out. Anyway, other than that, I've read every single book. So this year, so far, we have read Train to Pakistan by Khushwant Singh. This was so much better than I anticipated. I guess, I don't know, I had some pretty shitty like assumptions because it's an older book. It's not a modern text, and I don't know, sometimes I just see an old book and I'm like, I don't know, it's an old book. Like, how good could it be? If
it was good, it wouldn't be old.
Yeah, which is a really stupid argument, but sometimes I just, sometimes dark fair comes in.
I'm that way with movies. Like, if it's in black and white, I'm like, that's gonna be fucking stupid. I'm not watching that. They don't even have color in that thing. As a colorblind person, I'm this way.
I have such a hard time with older movies too. Like, if it's before the 80s, I'm like, nah. I'm just like,
my cutoff is like the 60s. Like, that's as far back as I can go.
You're more generous than I don't know. Hopefully I see a film someday that changes my mind, but so far, Anyway, Train to Pakistan was published in 1956, and it's about the partition of India, which I fucking knew nothing about as a white person from America. This was never taught to me. I knew nothing about it. And it's done very well. He weaves a fictional tale based on the actual history. He makes up like a fake town, but it's all based on real things that happened. Although this, the particulars of the story are maybe not parallels to reality, but all the historical events are, and kind of the substance of things is certainly from reality. And like, I don't know, it had some good writing and characterization. And it had an ending that was surprising to me, and the whole book was pretty dark. And I don't know, I learned a little bit about Indian and Pakistani history that I definitely didn't know before. It was great. One of my coworkers recommended it because she read it when she was young and was just like, I really want to reread this, and it got voted on, and yeah, was really glad to have read it because I wouldn't have known anything about that were it not for this. So yeah. The Deep by David Diggs. Yes, the very same from Clipping. River Solomon and William Hudson. This was one of the most interesting pieces of media I think I've consumed in a while. So my understanding was that it was sort of a game of telephone with a bunch of different art. This group called Drexcia was like a techno duo that created a world, like all of their music was about an underwater civilization founded by African women who were thrown overboard from slave ships. And so that's their whole world, and all the music they create is about that. And so eventually Clipping gets asked to create a song for an Afrofuturism episode of a podcast or a radio program or something. They used the world that Drexcia created to make their own original song. Then they called the song The Deep. And then this other guy, River Solomon, just finds it like cool enough to make a story out of. So then he writes the book, and then the David Diggs and Hudson from Clipping are involved with the book, and then David Diggs narrates the audiobook. So it's just this really cool sequence of artists creating things and working off of each other. I just found that absolutely fascinating. Really
love to
really
see
thought
stuff
this was
like
interesting.
that, like literal cross contamination, inspiration happening.
Yeah, and it was really original too. Like, I love the world is very inventive. It deals with heavy, nuanced, emotional topics. You know me, I love my heavy, nuanced, dark. Yes, give it to me. And I just had a minor quibble with the ending where there's like a situation where, let's just say, a human changes radically in like an instant, and it just seems kind of silly. But the rest of it was great. I would definitely recommend this. I mean, if you're into mer creatures, if you're into Afrofuturism, if you're into Clipping or like David Diggs, I mean, I frankly, I love him as an actor too. I don't know. It's also got like a layer of queerness to it that, well, is well handled, I guess, from my perspective. Fuck me, I'm not queer. What do I know? But like, I would absolutely recommend it. It's also very short. It's under 200 pages. So the commitment is low. It's really interesting. Yeah, really, really recommend checking that out. I also recommend listening to the song "The Deep" by Clipping, and then further, listening to Drexcia, which we did at our book club meeting, which was very cool. To be like, shit, I'm listening to Clipping at work. This is weird. It was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Next one is Egg, A Dozen Overtures by Lizzie Stark. Boston author Lizzie Stark, apparently. Look, man, I usually fucking hate pop science books. I think they usually do more of a disservice than a service. But I think this is an exception. I learned things from this book. There were footnotes. There were citations. Like, it had heart,
you love those.
too. Oh, yeah. And even if, like, so there were parts of the book where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to care about this. But it was still well done. And honestly, it was worth reading even for the first couple chapters alone. You get to learn about how absolutely hideous humanity is in reference to Ox, the true meaning of chicken coops. But then you also find out about the clown egg library, and then like make an omelet with your dad. Yeah, that's the thing.
The clown egg library. Okay,
yeah,
are they eggs that clowns have laid, or is it eggs that are clowns?
Oh my god. The clown egg register how you register your clown persona in clowning. So, when you become a clown, and it's like your deal, like your profession, you must register with the Clown Egg Registry. And what they do is they create an egg of your clown look, and you get placed on a little pillow in the registry, and you are officially a clown.
Sure. Why not? You know what? Great. Awesome. I hope no one breaks the eggs. Like,
there was a fire. It had to be rebuilt. Everything. Don't worry about it.
But lots of hard-boiled eggs. It was a delicious ending.
Yes. So, the fun me fact about this is that I've actually had to use the Clown Egg Registry for a reference. So, a couple of years ago,
you were attacked by a clown and you had to identify him in a line.
No. Guest of the show, Mary, is a friend of mine, and she's a director and an actor in like local theater scenes, and she needed someone to do makeup for a play she was doing. And it was a Jacobean play, but she wanted to set it in a like 20s or 40s circus or something. So she needed someone to do makeup, and she asked me. And I was like, well, I haven't done theater shit in a long time, and also I never did makeup when I was in theater, but okay. So I did it, and because it was a show about clowns and I knew nothing about clown makeup, I studied the Clown Egg Registry, and I had to use some of it for reference. Yeah, so
I guess I'm glad that it exists. I know
it's a really
one or two
neat
people
thing.
that do clowny stuff.
Really?
In real life. I mean, one of them is an OnlyFans person that does clown stuff. But I'm curious if she's cool. She does a lot of cool makeup work too. Don't get it twisted. But
no. I'm. It's fine. I just was like, of course, that's what it's just like.
I'm just curious if that is
clown curious. Chris is clown.
No, not about the clown content. It's just about are you allowed in the Clown Egg Library if your clown content is adult?
Great question. I don't know. But
I see this person at shows a lot. I could conceivably ask them, but I do not think that would be cool to ask. I'll just ask if they know about the Clown Egg Library, maybe.
Clown Egg Registry. Sorry, yes. I shouldn't have said library. I sometimes say library when I don't mean to. This is what happens when you just consume so many books. You just start saying library, Dewey Decimal, it starts coming out.
Well, that's a fun thing that I learned about. Continue with your books, please.
Yeah. Anyway, Egg, a dozen overtures. Surprisingly interesting. Also under 200 pages, low commitment. So if you're like, I don't know, I'm interested in this weird kaleidoscope of like what happens when you go, what's an egg? And then you spin off into like 10 different things about eggs that are totally unrelated. It's kind of fascinating. All right, next one is a book of poetry. It's called Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mossab Abutoa. I appreciated that this poet never let his eye wander from horror. And although the general style wasn't my favorite, there were some poems I really enjoyed, and I am glad I read it, although it wasn't always the style I liked. Anyway, Palestinian poet. Check it out if you're interested in poetry from that part of the world. Next one, A Fool and His Money by Anne Rowe. Oh boy. Whew, this was a really, really, really niche history. The first chapter about the town itself was interesting, but the saga of the court case for 90% of the book was a fucking slog. This took me months and months and months to get through. It's so short. It's not a long book, but like, unless you need this level of detail for either French medieval or French medieval legal research, it's not worth reading. Like, I picked this up at a bookstore in Maine when one of the times we were there, like, visit friends, and I was just like, oh, this cover looks cool. I like the title, and then I read the blurb on the back, and I was like, oh, this sounds cool. Like, interrogating, like, a medieval court case from France about, like, some money that was hidden in a drain. I don't know. It sounded interesting. And, like, I'm kind of a medieval junkie, so it sparked my interest, but, like, oh boy, that did not deliver. That book is just, it's just not for random lay people who encounter it in a bookstore. Let me just say that it's just so boring. But if you have an interest in French medieval legal stuff, it is for you, and only you in the corner.
Yeah. One person.
Yeah. Next one is my favorite of the bunch. This is Drinking Coffee Elsewhere by ZZ Packer. Holy shit, I fucking loved this. This is a perfect short story collection describing the kaleidoscope of joy and misfortune that Black Americans encounter, with a focus on the femme experience. This has plenty of grim tension, but it also wrenched quite a few laughs of recognition and actual humor out of me. Chris, I actually screenshotted some stuff to send to you while I was reading it. Remember the birds in the car?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That.
Okay. It's one of the best short story collections I've ever read. It would be an immaculate tool for teaching. It has to be used for teaching. I mean, if it's not, I would be shocked. Read this if you haven't. It is so good. It is so good. If you find yourself agreeing with a lot of my opinions on the show, if you're looking for, again, that little bit of darkness, that humor, that emotional nuance, that realism in story, it's all here. And they're all very different and all completely disconnected stories. But man, is that worth reading. Get into it if you haven't. All right. Last one. The Murderous Investigation by Kamel Daoud. This is a companion to Albert Camus' The Stranger. This is, I will say, Daoud's version is a masterful play in like the mirror world of The Stranger. So what he does is he writes the book from the perspective of the dead man's brother. So in The Stranger, I'm assuming many people have read it. It's used in philosophy classes and stuff all the world over. The main character just randomly shoots a guy and just refers to him as the Arab, and we don't really get to know much about him, and he just sort of shoots this guy on the beach for no reason. I think the reason given is he reached into his pocket and he thought he had a knife, but like, you're just weirdos on a beach. Like, why did you shoot him? Anyway, this book focuses on the dead man's brother, and so the Arab gets a name and he gets a backstory, and there's obviously a big focus on colonialism, but what was impressive about this, I think, was that the colonialism and murder has not made our main character Harun the hapless victim. And even though we feel for him, we also question his motives. We question whether what he's saying is true. We question his attitude towards women and his mother. And I just think it, like The Stranger, it forces you to think about the responsibility you have for your own darkness, right? And I don't know, I'm really glad this exists. I think it's really cool to write a companion parallel piece to something, especially something so well regarded, and to do it so well. But like, it's been so long since I've read The Stranger. I mean, I still have it, but I didn't have time to read it. I didn't have time to read both of them before we met for the book club. I certainly didn't have time afterward. And I don't know, I just feel like I would have appreciated it more if I had read The Stranger and then immediately read The Murderous Investigation. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that wherever The Stranger is taught, I hope they're also teaching The Murderous Investigation, because it's a really, really, I don't know, I feel like it's a necessary companion piece. So, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, that's a bunch of books that we read halfway through the year. Now we can talk about music, that thing that supposedly we spend all our time doing. So you'd think we'd have some opinions on this. I'm going to kind of group some of my things here into like distinct categories of like, these artists kind of belong together, just to kind of get through things a little bit quicker. I'm not going to really list out every single thing I've listened to from all these artists, but top of the list this year so far, Ulcerate's Cutting the Throat of God. I've talked about Stare Into Death and Be Still, the album that preceded this beforehand, and Ulcerate, just do more of that. It's not like it's that different from Stare Into Death and Be Still, but I fucking love Ulcerate. They do the sort of like disso death thing way better than anyone else because it's still catchy. There's still like catchy riffs and melodies in there that are repeated in cool ways. a lot of other, like Portal, right? Portal is a disso death band that's just like as dissonant and angry as possible, but like good luck repeating anything that they did back, or like sing that riff back. You're not gonna fucking do it. Ulcerate really just does it the best, and they do that sort of like big expansive kind of sound that I really love in my metal nowadays. So another big old thumbs up to me for Ulcerate.
I was literally listening to that before the episode, and I only got I know, I've been really slow. I only got 4 songs in, though, and I don't know. I don't think that it's like, I don't think it's really my kind of thing.
Cool. It doesn't have to be. You and I actually diverge quite a bit on metal.
Oh, we do. Which
is the fun part about, like, we're metalheads and we're friends and everything, but I think you and I are just so different in the metal consumption.
Absolutely. Please continue. Oh, this is on my list too. I haven't gotten to it yet.
So, like, the Vitriol Suffer and Become, Aborted's Vault of Horrors, and Worm's Omegon, which, like, just came out, like, the week that we're recording this. 3 just, like, really stellar death metal albums. Just big, angry riffs, awesome production, cool solos.
But not slam, right? Like, just death metal.
Yeah. Like, Wormed maybe winks at that a little bit. But I would still classify them all as like pretty straight ahead death metal. Aborted's Vault of Horrors especially is like the most straight ahead kind of death metal with, I mean, it's got the high production value thing going on. So if you like your death metal a little bit more, I don't know, real, instead of like that super like the kicks are like hell of triggered and kind of like that kind of thing, which I just love. Honestly, I love it.
I know we have very different drum opinions in this podcast. It has been a topic of contention.
Vitriol Suffer and Become especially is just like a wall of fucking aggression that's a little hard to listen to for an extended period. Like, I feel like that album is hitting hard. Like, I'm waiting to bet if you like put the wave file into your DAW, it's just like a fucking rectangle in there. It's like that, like that kind of thing. So yeah,
I see
those 3 albums are really top of the game for me in terms of just death metal right now. Entheos' newer singles and this other band I found called Gairia. I don't know how to say this.
Oh yeah, I think it's Gairia. I feel like
Garia's a little bit more black metal, I would say, but them and Entheos,
they are black metal. They're on Season of Mist. Like, there's
Archspire is on Seasons of Mist, and they're not black metal, so it's not like
no. I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying like they're very clearly black metal.
Yeah, but they do the atmospheric thing well. And like, I feel like when people do atmospheric black metal, every time I spin up a recommendation, it's just like shittily recorded and the reverb send is way too fucking high. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. But these guys, Gairia, they're doing the thing that I want atmospheric black metal to do in spades. And it also, I feel like I discovered them because they just dropped like 7 music videos 2 months ago. It's just like high production music video, high production music video, high production music video, like one after the fucking other.
They've toured pretty extensively the last couple of years, so it's not that surprising.
I don't know where they got the music video budget all of a sudden, but it must be in the like
Season of Mist. I mean, that's
Season of Mist dropped like tens of thousands on the music videos for this band or something, because like it's crazy. I wish I had the funding to do all those kinds of music videos like they were doing. They're all pretty... No, they're not all amazing. I mean, with the sort of quantity that they're putting out, I think, not all going to be great. But anyway, they're cool. Entheos' newer single, All for Nothing, also amazing. I let you listen to it the other day, and you were like, I don't get it. But like, I don't know, man. They're just...
no, I didn't say I don't get what's special about it, was my comment.
I wouldn't call it necessarily like unique, but they do that thing better than so many other bands that are trying to do that thing. And even my own band a little bit trying to do that thing.
I don't think so. Well, I guess, you know what I remember, though? I remember there was a very tasteful, well-placed, well-played guitar solo in that song. I was like, yes, that's the kind of guitar solo I like. It's got a tasty little lead. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Good on that man.
Exactly. Okay, that's sort of most of the metal stuff. Well, actually, Vulvodynia and Wormhole, those are the slam ones that I'm into.
Oh, okay.
Wormhole, different from Wormed, actually. It's pretty funny. Sort of the, but like, anyway, they just...
Wormed is Polish, right?
I think so. But like, Wormhole and Vulvodynia are just like killer slam. I'm not really into slam that much, but like, if you hit it just right, it's awesome. And them too.
Nope, Wormed is from Spain. Okay. I was not close.
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to what countries bands are from that often.
Anyway, Wormhole is from Italy.
I sadly missed Vulvodynia live because they were opening up for Fallujah on their Flesh Prevails remaster tour, which, by the way, the remaster for the Flesh Prevails is just unequivocally a better version of an album that's in my like top 3 albums of all time. So that was a pretty cool release that happened last month.
I might have lied to you. Wormhole. There are too many wormholes.
There are a lot of wormholes.
Your Wormhole. The record Almost Human?
Yes.
From last year?
Yes.
Okay, they are from the United States, South Africa, Scotland, and Baltimore, Maryland, very specifically.
Very split band.
Oh, okay. That's cool. A lot of us are in bands that are all over the place.
That's the nature of metal now, I think.
Sure is. Okay. All right. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to correct my mistake
into
there.
Non-metal stuff. So if I'm being honest with you, you could just define my electronic music taste as the Electronic Gems YouTube channel. The Electronic Gems YouTube channel is just like every single one is like, yep, that's the thing I like. Yep, that's the thing I like. Yep, that's the thing I like. And so like Emil Rotsmayer has been a standout artist on that kind of like YouTube channel for forever, like label, I guess. Along with Oddling, Hotel Pools, and Allison, spelled capital A, capital L, capital I, with like periods between them, and so on from there. Those 4 artists are like that's what I want Yearn to be doing a lot of the time, and I fail at it quite often, but they are...
No, I actually I don't know any of those artists, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Electronic Gems YouTube channel, they're so good. It's every single fucking song on that channel.
I'm gonna subscribe to this right now, because... I also like electronic music.
Emil Rotsmayer is my favorite artist right now in terms of electronic stuff. He's just
electronic
great
gem.
At like the bass lines are great. They just sound awesome. The sound design is really cool. It's not unique. It's just well mixed. It's so well mixed.
Oh, okay. That's important.
I also discovered Jim Kirkwood this year.
That
Dungeon Synth legend, apparently. So I'm super late to this train, but on YouTube it's sort of distributed across a bunch of weird, like, this was like a cassette that he released at one point, and the dude's like still putting music out now on Bandcamp and shit. Mm-hmm. I listened to like Night of a Dark Grail, I think is what it was called, and there was this song called like When the Black Gate Opens / Elvin Smiths, and it's just got like a hammering sound in the background and like cool bloopy analog synths, and it's like band passed in a way that sounds super retro, like an old ass PC RPG. Like, I was so into it. It's so good. I can't believe I'm that late to the party on Jim Kirkwood. If Dungeon Synth as a concept at all sounds like something you'd be into, which to me it's like the sound of an old PC video game or something, is vaguely what I could describe a lot of Dungeon Synth as.
I think, okay, so first of all, have I forced you to listen to a song called Moradin's Forge?
Yes.
I have.
Yes.
Okay, well, I love it. It's my friend Leland's project. Anyway, I also have a deep love for Dungeon Synth, but I think I'm way pickier. Like, I think a lot of Dungeon Synth is boring as fuck. It's just like plotting like bee boo bee boo.
That's spot on. Yes,
and you're just
correct.
Like, holy
that's
God, I'm gonna fucking slit my own throat. So
it's the synth they play when you're in a dungeon to torture you.
It is. It absolutely is. This fucking God. It's the synth of limbo. Anyway, so I'm like hyper picky with my Dungeon Synth. I love it, but I love very particular things. I don't want to I'm not going to talk about it now, but if you want sick DS Rex, get at me.
I would just say Jim Kirkwood. If you want to start listening to Dungeon Synth, a fantastic entryway. I don't think I've heard it done better yet.
Oh, all right. It's a challenge.
Okay. In the pop realm, I got two artists that like very different, I would say. I'm into the Sabrina Carpenter stuff that I've heard lately. You probably have no idea who this is, Paris.
No, if I have to hear Espresso one more fucking time, Chris, I can't.
Really? Okay, I like Espresso. That's a good song. I'm into it.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear it Okay, I keep my phone on silent almost all the time. Like, you know how some people just scroll through like social media with their sound on? That's not me. It's fucking off.
I hate it.
No
I
ringer.
have headphones in all the time so I can listen to that shit.
It's muted so I don't hear anything. And every time I unmute, like, I don't know, a news Instagram post or like something I want to hear and I forget to shut it off, I swear to God, within 5 swipes, I hear oh my God, I can't fucking do it anymore.
I have not been oversaturated by it, so perhaps that is why I'm still kind of into that tune. She also has a song called Feather that's pretty good, I think. It's just every once in a while there's like a pop singer lady that I'm into. Like Carly Rae Jepsen was hitting hard for me for a bit. Still does. Caroline Polachek was another one. They just do a good melody and I'm into it. And right now, Sabrina Carpenter is kind of high up there, although doesn't hit as hard as Caroline Polachek does for me.
Yeah. That's fair.
On the other side of the pop coin, definitely not like your, dance electronic stuff, is Maggie Rogers' album Don't Forget Me.
I don't know who that is.
You've probably heard a Maggie Rogers song once or twice in your life before. But there is a song on there called So Sick of Dreaming that hits the like Fleetwood Mac Rumors era vibe so well. It's like just a good melody, well done little guitar lines happening through it, sung extremely well. It's not like this particularly like acrobatic or anything, but So Sick of Dreaming is probably my favorite pop tune this year. It is just great. Super awesome. Please listen to it. Hey, man.
You don't have to be a coloratura soprano to produce something that is impressive vocally.
You do not.
I don't know this song at all, so I guess I'm going to look it up. Pop isn't really my thing, but I do like... There are some artists I like. Oh my God.
It's not going to be radio pop. It's more like again, Fleetwood Mac. Think very Fleetwood Mac.
I don't really love Fleetwood Mac, but it's fine. But I'll check out So Sick of Dreaming. I don't know. Every once in a while, a pop artist will get me and I'll get really into them. Like, I think 10 years ago, I was really into Tovlo. I forget how she says her name. She's Norwegian, but, or Norwegian? Sweet? No, she's Norwegian. Or like, what else is good? That's poppy. I don't know. I feel a Polish woman. Oh, it's gonna take me forever.
Are you thinking of the lady that was married to Nurgle?
No, I am not. I'm thinking of I've played this when we've done the music video game. It's a really good long shot, one shot dance video. I'm not that into dance, but the video is very impressive. Polish singer starts with Katia, maybe?
Isha? She's not Polish. I know who you're talking about.
How do you type
Hideaway is the song.
Yeah. Oh, Keisha? I thought she was Polish.
No.
Anyway, occasionally I will hear something and go like, that's cool. Oh, she's Canadian. Wow. All right, I fucked that up. Sorry. I don't know how I got that crossed in my brain.
You should listen to that Maggie Rogers tune. I don't know if it's exactly your flavor, but it is absolutely my favorite pop tune of the year. And again,
is it anything? Well, you said it was kind of like Fleetwood Mac. Is it anything like older, like 70s, other kind of 70s sort of light rock stuff or folk?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I would put it in that realm.
Pentangle or Mellow Candle, because that shit is my fucking jam. I fucking love
have
that
never
stuff.
heard of that shit, Paris, so maybe I should listen to that.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, that's for another time. But Pentangle and Mellow Candle, some really good stuff. That's not metal.
Okay.
Folk rock, I guess I would say.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna keep going down my list. I will say that I've gone to more concerts this year than I normally would. So, like, I went to Brooklyn to catch that Dillinger Escape Plan series of shows. I went to, like, 2 of the 3 that they played. That was pretty fantastic. I saw Car Bomb over there. Car Bomb are amazing. Really cool shit. I'm going to see Misery Signals in Brooklyn again later this month for, like, farewell tour. I'm excited about that. I went to that Fallujah Flesh Prevails tour. Of course, I had to. It was, like, after work. I had to, like, get in an Uber over there and, like, catch it just in time for them to play that whole album front to back and then a couple of new tunes. It was pretty great. Like more local shows in general too. So like I'm just getting back into like the live music that I'm not playing at experience and just like appreciating shit a little bit.
You and
more.
I even went to the same show.
Yes, that horrendous
never happens.
Yeah, right? Because horrendous rules.
They certainly do.
Dope as fuck.
Love my horrendous boys. Yeah, it was great. It was a really fun time. I'm sad you didn't stay for the whole thing, but I mean, honestly, Tomb Mold fucking played forever, so it was probably fine.
Yeah, it was jammy Tomb Mold and not like the more straight ahead death metal Tomb Mold that I'm into. That was in like their previous album, so I was like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy jammy Tomb Mold, but yeah, it was cool. It was fun, and we got to have a good dinner beforehand.
Yes.
So.
I also got to shout out my cool locals like Smothered Sun, who Graveborn recently befriended. Cool riffs, just like cool melodic death metal kind of stuff. And they're from Maine, so they're a bunch of cool guys from Maine. They could go a little bit easier on the alcohol, I think, but other than that,
no. Hey, you know what, cool man? Riffs. When you live in Maine,
they're young and they've got the bodies for it.
From Maine. They're from the south of the north.
Yeah, that's true.
It's all right.
I've talked about Pathogenic a whole bunch. They're hitting it real hard. Again, they just recorded a new album that I'm excited to hear. Cognitive, they're on Metal Blade, but they're kind of local, and they're like doing some cool shit. They're actually touring right now with Pathogenic's vocalists doing their vocals. They played Ralph's last night, actually, and a couple of the other Graveborn boys went out to see them and sent me a video, and Jake is fucking killing it fronting Cognitive, so... That's their new album is also cool. And of course, Ice Giant put out their new album, which is like, I'm surprised you haven't listened to it, Paris. It might be something that's kind of up your alley.
I did not know they had a new record out. I will pop it on the Bandcamp. I use my Bandcamp wish list as this is a reminder for me to listen to this sometime, which has been funny when people have misinterpreted that as things I want and then like bought me a gift, and I was like, I actually don't know if I like this yet, but thanks.
People buy you things on your like I don't understand that experience, man.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
What's the fucking new album? Oh, it must be The Tale of Rawanam?
No, that's a new single that they dropped.
Whoop. Ghost of Humanity?
That's it. Okay, so that's like all of the good music. I have sort of like illegal moves to make, I would say, after this.
I'm looking at a line right now in the notes, and I don't know what's about to happen. I am a little scared.
I need to talk about I glued my balls to my butthole again, Paris.
What the fuck is that?
I've made you listen to I glued my balls to my butthole again. It's the AI-generated song.
Oh!
I glued my balls to my butthole again. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a dump because my balls are blocking up my butthole.
The one that lives in my head rent-free is the fucking lamp one.
You look like you could use a fucking lamp. Take the cord, take the shade.
Take the whole damn lamp. Yeah, it's fucking great.
So, obviously, ethically, there are some issues with AI-generated music here, but I feel like the one use that I can let it pass on is toilet humor music that is clearly not meant to be artistically serious.
Yeah, you have found the one use for it, except how many rainforests died because
like
we
the
had
power
to hear...
consumption to make I glue my balls to my butthole again. I don't know if it was worth it, man. Everyone turn your ACs down. It's the hottest summer in the world. We gotta make you could use a fucking lamp again. Okay, so I just really wanted to have an aside for that the Obscurest Vinyl YouTube channel is like the most
it on right now and I'm crying.
Ethically fraught situation I found myself in because I do not like AI music, but fucking it's just bopping, man.
You look like you could use a fucking lamp is like Oh, I'm crying.
Did you hear the sequel by the same artist? You're going to learn a lesson in this delicatessen, which is about getting super pissed at someone that's taken too long to make a sandwich order. It's pretty fucking good.
It's so tough because, like, I detest AI for so many reasons, but You Look Like You Could Use a Fucking Lamp is a banger.
Good. It's really good.
So
okay.
good.
I'm going to end my music discussion section with a couple of, as we have been putting it in this doc that we are reading
Illegal moves,
which is when you talk about bands that you or your friends are in.
Yeah.
So I will make a move not illegal, I get, but you're still my friend, so it's still illegal. That new Crypt Sermon album is pretty fucking good, and I'll be honest with you, Paris, I usually hate that style of metal. It's usually not what I like, but Crypt Sermon walks that line of dork very finely in a way that makes it engaging.
Well, and Steve Jansen's guitar work is fucking incredible. Like, that man made a 2-minute guitar solo work.
Yeah, that's hard. That's difficult.
And it's so great. I have so many things to say about that record.
You'll get into it in a second. I'm sure my last illegal move is that if you are into like Ion Dissonance at all, if that's a band that you like.
I thought you were talking about the scientific phenomenon.
No. I mean the
like, what?
The sort of like groove metal band Ion Dissonance. And stuff like that. Them. If you like your time signatures incomprehensible, but your riffs chuggy as fuck, you should listen to Ley Lines, which is Jesse Blanchett, the other guitarist in Graveborn, his other band. Not Conforza. He's also he's in Graveborn and Conforza and Ley Lines, and all three of us are putting albums out pretty soon. So Jesse has been guitaring hard this year.
I mean, you know what that means? That means like a triple tour. That means Jesse dies at the end.
Yes, Jesse would fucking evaporate into his arm would just turn into a nub if he had to play all three of those sets.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Anyway, Ley Lines is really good, like super chuggy, nonsensical. They're kind of a super group. They've got Jesse, who is cool. They've got Michael Raney Jr., who is in Through the Eyes of the Dead and Circuits of Suns in there as the drummer. They've got John Carpenter from The Contortionist on vocals as well. And then bass is just also Jesse on the recording, but for a couple of shows they did, it was Dan from Pathogenic that played with them. So, a bunch of cool dudes playing cool metal. And that's my music.
Cool. Well, thanks for reporting in. Thank you for reminding me about You Look Like You Could Use a Fucking Lamp, because I had forgotten about it. And all right. First disclaimer is like, I'm fucking sorry if I forgot something. Like, look, man, I've had a really hard time listening to new music this year. As Chris mentioned, Chris and I are both writing and recording albums this year, and like, it's just been chaotic. My life is always pretty chaotic because I got a lot of things to do that are important to me. I'm pretty good about saying no and balancing things, but it's still busy. So anyway, there's a ton of shit I haven't listened to yet. There's also a ton of shit I listened to once and went, so meh. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk about some notable stuff. So first one up is Ancient Sword Cult by Writhe and Hilt. What a fucking banger of a first EP! Goddamn! The hype is real here. We've got beautiful vocals, singable melodies, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Really looking forward to the full length. This is for you if you are into epic heavy metal. If you like holding that sword high, you like, fucking raising your hammer or whatever. That's for you.
I want to read the YouTube track list, so I listened to a bit of this album for you. Not for you, but like I listened to it because like it was on this list. I was like, I should listen to some of these before we start the episode. So here's the track list according to this YouTube playlist I found, Paris, and you could probably tell by the tone of my voice that there's something afoot here. The track list is Death Undone, Mountain, Sorcerer's Gate, To Rival the Sun, Andrew Tate, Why You Can't Stay Motivated.
Oh, that's not right.
And Aeolia, Unbreakable Bronze. So really just sneaking in the right wing shit even on trad metal stuff here on YouTube.
Someone snuck a fucking Andrew Tate video into that?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I had to show you that one, Paris.
That sucks. God damn. Anyway, listen to a cut without the Andrew Tate video in it. If you listen to it on Bandcamp or from the New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal Full Albums YouTube channel, it's 100% free of Andrew Day videos. I can guarantee. All right, really love that one. I've listened to it a lot. The next one is Conveyance and Death by Rune. This is a disclaimer. This is a Friends record, but like I often hate my friends' music or don't really like it. So like I'm not
as your friend whose music you don't fucking listen to.
I know. And maybe I'm being a little boisterous. Hate is a strong word, but there's plenty. I know my whole life is music when I'm not, reading books and going to work and whatever. So I know a ton of people in bands. It's like my whole life is knowing people in bands. So there's plenty of people who are in bands who I don't feel obligated to talk about. Point being, it's not on this list because I know people or whatever. It's on this list because I really enjoy it. So anyway, Conveyance and Death, though, it's like a puzzling one because I don't really know what it is about it. Like I've listened to it a lot while I was working. It's just, it's got this ferocity in it that sounds like this last burst of rage you might have before you just crumble from exhaustion. It's just really solid black metal. It's got a little something going on, and I really like it. So if you're into black metal, check it out. Another one, this black metal, Versus an Oath by Holder. Again, I have a direct connection to this band, so I'm sorry,
about as direct
but
as you can get, I would say.
Yeah. So I do know these folks, but I loved this band before I ever had anything to do with their whole apparatus. Before I knew any of them. And I don't know, like the touch of the symphonic and sung vocals really works, and damn do I love it because it's not cheesy, it's not corny, it's not try hard, it's fucking real, and it's great. Mars continues to make medieval black metal of the highest order and suffer no fucking fools. Harken the fucking end, my friends. Like, check this shit out. If you're into black metal and or you're into like, I don't know, fucking swords and shit, and you've never listened to Hulder, please do yourself a favor and listen to it. She's got a couple of releases, but the new one's real good. So check that out. Or you check one of the many others out. You can't really go wrong with any of them. Apologies to France and French-speaking Canada and other areas of the world.
Good luck with this one.
Whew. Sia Siendre en Misere Noir by Wool. I can't speak French. Can you tell? Anyway, this band is called Oul. It's spelled Houle because it's French. It means like swell or like the ocean swell. I had seen my friend Becky posting about this record a couple of times on social media, just being like, "Oh, this is like one of my top records this year," and I was like, "I've never heard of this fucking band. Like, what is this?" And I was like, "Well, I'll just chuck it on the list. I'll get to it eventually." And I actually just listened to it this morning, and it's got this really charming opening track. It's got like this sort of like French sea shanty it opens with, like people drinking and singing the song. It's quite a good opening for a record. I really like that. And while, I've only listened to it once, and like while the music, the instrumental music, I think on the core of the album isn't, I don't know, wasn't anything impressive. What was impressive was the vocalist. Holy fuck. That record has the best black metal vocal performance I've heard in a very, very long time. It reminds me a lot of Caro from Oathbreaker. Even though Oathbreaker is kind of a band that straddles some genres. There's something about the fevered feralness of it. Oh, God, I love it. It's unhinged, panting, screeching. Oh, it's so good.
There's something about, like,
kudos to
I
that
think
band.
a lot of metal vocalists lose the idea of, like, it's a performance when they're delivering metal vocals, and you can tell it's just, like, no, I just have to, like, sing the words, and it's, like, a low vocal, and, like, paint by numbers, but, like, if you don't deliver a feeling, then get out.
Yeah, and I listen to a lot of heavy music, and I listen to a lot of both sung vocals and screamed, and man, what an impressive performance. Like, I don't know that I would say the music behind it was very interesting, but it is worth listening to for those vocals. Man, so good. Really interested to see what that vocalist does in the future. She's really got something going there. All right. Mythcarver put out 2 promising singles. The songs are called Crimson Terrain and King of the Pyre. This is for those of you who like your metal, Eternal Champion and Texan, because they are also from Texas, and they
Howdy,
also
I'm the Texan Eternal Champion.
Yes, and Eternal Champion, as you well know, is one of my favorite modern bands. Really, really love them. Big fan of especially the vocalist Jason's work and all that stuff. Yada yada. But yeah, Myth Carver put out 2 tracks that are pretty good. Again, if you're interested in that Writhen Hilt EP, you'd be interested in this too. And again, I'm not making the Eternal Champion comparison to say, oh, they sound just like them. Like, they don't. I mean, I don't think anybody could ever sound like Eternal Champion. They're like, so anyway, you're not getting that memorable song structure that Eternal Champion has, but it's in that vein. It's in that vein. I think it's worth checking out. Speaking of other epic metal stuff, I listened to the new Triumpher record today, Storming the Walls. I think I need to give it a few more spins because it's all very well done. Soundscapes are good, vocals are very good, but my first impression was like, wow, this is going on for a long time, and the runtime was only 46 minutes, which is like pretty standard, and I just felt like it kind of... Yeah, my first pass was like, this felt like it overstayed its welcome. Also, the vocals just really sort of did a lot of like, I'm not going to do it. I don't need to blow all your ears out. But like those high screams, which are great. They're great and they're hard to do well. But it was just like a lot of that back to back to back. And I was sort of like, I don't know. Anyway, I think I need to give it another listen. Triumpher might be for you. Again, this is another like... We're holding swords up band, but it's more Greek in flavor. I mean, they are Greek, I believe. It's got more like a Warlord, Lordian Guard vibe, but with, higher production and stuff. I don't know, like, if you like Manowar, you might check this out, too. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I gotta listen to it a few more times. But it still left me with, like, some thoughts, so I figured I'd mention it. Lastly, got a couple of local selections for you. We got Demon Chrome. They're our buds from Rhode Island. They put out a short release with some pretty solid rock and roll. It's called Hung, Drawn, and Quartered. They have a couple of other records too. just some solid rock and roll stuff. I really think their vocalist has a great voice. Really, really delivers live. Great guitar player too. But yeah, check it out. Similarly, we got some more solid rock and roll, but more in the style of like traditional heavy metal stuff. Like if you're into Pentagram from the US, like that Bobby Liebling style, check out The Watcher, their new record. It's real good. Payton, the vocalist, has a sort of Bobby Liebling thing going on vocally. Again, these are people I know, but I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't like it. But yeah, I'm not, and it's funny because like I'm really picky about the style and I'm not always a fan of it, but I like the way they do it, and I don't know, I just think it's fun. It's a fun time if you're into that style. For non-metal selections, I give you 2 things. One, somebody I know's band, and the other is random. So one of the first one is called, it's a record called Out of Focus by Vivid Bloom. My friend Liz is in this band, and I was so into this the first time I listened to it. I couldn't stop listening to it. I had it on repeat. And it's only 3 songs. I had it on repeat so often. The best way I can describe this to you is to just read you my own mini review of it on Bandcamp. And this is what I said about it. Veruca Salt and Miranda Sexgarden meet at a party in 1996. It's raining and chilly in a nearly winter sort of way. The vicious edge of this partnership mellows into a stuck-to-the-couch melancholy after enough downers. Friends for life are made. Hit play to return to your sad, grungy teenage self. Enjoy the nostalgia of that miserable introspection after you've survived it.
Damn, do you write for Pitchfork? Fuck!
No, hey Chris, did you know I write good sometimes?
Yeah, turns out. I also back this release. It's pretty fucking good shoegazy shit. It's like the reverb is high, the riffs are fuzzy.
Good though. It's got this really nice grunge to it. So if you're ever into any kind of lady centered grunge stuff, check out Vivid Bloom. Really great. Lastly, we've got the release called Mahal from Glass Beams, which is just fucking end-to-end earworms, man. The worms are in your brain, you're infected, and you've been sentenced to groove.
So this is another one that I listened to before this because I was like, I gotta hear these earworms.
Oh, nice.
And like, have you heard Khruangbin before, Paris?
I think you made me watch a Khruangbin
Glass
video.
Beams is very Khruangbin, but they're like Moroccan Khruangbin, if that makes any sense. And they have cooler outfits. But if you like Glass Beams, you might try some more Khruangbin. I think Khruangbin is a little bit more like 70s chic than like the sort of otherworldly Middle Eastern thing that Glass Beams seem to have going on. And they also kind of do the groove thing. It's almost like the same instrumentation too, almost like the same bass that I saw the bass player playing too.
That's so weird. I don't remember that at all.
I would so Khruangbin's worth watching just for the drummer alone, because the drummer in Khruangbin keeps like amazingly perfect time. Like it's simple grooves, but he's just like a machine. But he fucking looks like he'd be rather doing anything else. He just looks like, oh, shit. Oh, fuck. I just gotta keep doing this fucking groove, man. But he's locked in. The comments on the Tiny Desk Concert YouTube video alone are worth the watch.
Okay, all right. Glass Beams is from Australia, just so you know. They're not Moroccan.
I know, but the vibe is that.
Well, it's more Indian pop, like Indian music with like some psych rock. That's the mix.
I'm thinking of like some like Moroccan guitar players that I have vaguely heard before. Yeah, I can't name right now, but like they're like in that area.
Anyway, Glass Beams is cool. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoy that record. Let's see what I got. Yeah, my like real illegal moves at the end here are 2 records I was on. I feel like such an asshole, but like
they're good records.
I would have loved these. They would have been on my fucking list for 2024, even if I wasn't involved with them at all. So I have the tiniest part. I am like a single grain of salt on the Stygian Rose by Crip Sermon. I have the tiniest part in a chorus.
You are like
a song.
One stamen in the rose.
Yeah, or what? Yeah, petal. Yeah, I'm the tiniest little guy in there. So it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really count. Like I didn't have anything. I created my part and sang it, and that's it. Yeah, love the Stygian Rose by Crip Sermon. I've been obsessively listening to it. I've heard the songs come together over the last couple of years due to my relationship with the band, and but like, oh god, when they were finished making it, I just had it on repeat for months and months and months, and I absolutely love it. I think it's stellar. I think it's for you if you're into epic heavy metal. I think it's for you if you're into grunge, honestly. Like it really has it's got some ballady stuff, but it's not cheesy. The story is incredible. Like Brooks really outdid himself with the story, I think. And again, I've mentioned it a few times, but like seriously, give it a listen. If you're into that style of heavy music. If you're not into it, then it's not going to do anything for you. But I still think it's worth listening if you are in any kind of the heavier side of things. Similarly, I was maybe I was like a dash of salt and a dash of pepper on Divine Battle by Savage Oath. More than a grain of salt, but not a lot. I sang some backup choirs on a couple songs. Divine Battle by Savage Oath. This is also if you're into like swords and maces and whatnot.
I recommended this album to my doctor at my physical.
That's fucking crazy.
I had a new doctor because like my old PCP stopped working at the hospital that I go to regularly. And like I was actually bounced around a couple of different people for a bit, and I landed on this one dude. This dude strolls in like the highest boots I've seen on a doctor ever. And
amazing.
He's like fairly young, and like he noticed it. Like I had like a Graveborn shirt on, I think, when I was in there. He's like, "Oh, you like metal, huh? You like that power metal?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was actually like down the street from a power metal show the other week because like my friend's band was opening for there." And he's like, "Oh, you know those guys?" And then we got into like talking about like trad heavy metal, and I was like, "Have you heard Savage Oath?" And he was like, "Actually, I do know that band." I was like, "Have you listened to their new album yet?" And I was like, "No." And so I was like, "You should. My friend's on that one. It's pretty rad."
Thank you, Chris. That's very cool. That's
so
also
yes, I recommended.
Wow,
I recommended Divine Battle to my fucking doctor at my physical.
I love how the stars aligned that you somehow got the heavy metal doctor. That rules.
Yes, I have the heavy metal doctor. I can't wait to do my physical again.
Divine Battle's great because it features Brendan Radigan, who, and everything his voice touches turns to gold, regardless of genre, but his sung vocals are one of the things. Actually, him and Brooks are like two of the people who really inspired me to start singing and have a band, so it's kind of insane that I now am associated with them at all. Anyway, it's really hard for me to talk about good things about myself, so I feel really self-conscious about it, but I think it is important to talk about the things that we do. So this is me being vulnerable and being like, look, I did a thing and I'm trying to not be ashamed of it. It's hard. Hey, the thing. Anyway, those records are great.
I agree. All right.
Movies and TV.
Movies and TV.
Chris.
House of the Dragon. Dragon House is back.
House of the Dragon.
I love the Dragon House.
Dragons are in the house. Dragons are in the house.
I'm a sucker for the Dragon House.
Oh, me too. Me fucking too. I am fucking nursing at the teat of George R. Martin.
I'm still a sucker for. I don't know what it is. It's just like it hits the marks that I want. And the season 1 was not like top tier Game of Thrones, but it was close enough. And I think this season is a little less so, but still hits some of the good character interaction and like political intrigue marks that I really liked on Game of Thrones. Like those early seasons of Game of Thrones, that's why I was there. It really wasn't the magic and dragons and shit.
No, absolutely. Same for me. I feel the exact same way.
So I like that this show is still trying to do that. Okay, mild spoilers for this season.
Mild spoilers.
Up until about episode, what was it, like 6 that we just got done?
No, we watched episode 5. So most. Hang on. Let's get this right because this is something people are actively watching. I don't want
and when this comes out, I think it'll be like one episode away from the finale when this comes out, or maybe it'll actually already be done.
But yeah, episode 5 is called Regent. This is how far we are.
Okay. So spoilers up until about episode 5 of House of the Dragon, about to hit right now.
All right, hide your ears, hide your dragon eggs.
The war, the dance has started to pop off a little bit.
Yep,
I gotta say, I'm sort of impressed by the performance that Aegon 2's actor has been putting in. He's still like a little shit for the most part, but like a kingly little shit now. But like there's some nuance there where you can kind of see that he's like trying to take upon this mantle and he's still just a little shit. And he kind of realizes he's like a little shit. Mm-hmm. And he knew that in the first season too. So it's pretty funny to like watch it happen. I think that actor is doing a fantastic job playing that out.
Dude, I mean, that's the thing. The acting on the show is usually pretty good. I mean, every once in a while we get someone who's kind of whatever, but like Emma, I don't know. How do you say their last name? Do you say Emma Darcy or
I
Darcy?
Just say Darcy, but
I don't know. But Emma's acting.
Yes.
I think
the Rhaenyra stuff is great.
Phenomenal. I think they are phenomenal. And the younger actress who played young Rhaenyra, I thought was also fantastic.
Yes. I mean,
the casting
pop
was
in
real good
this season just for a brief moment of the younger Rhaenyra.
Yes, yeah, just a little bit.
And like, even though, okay, Daemon's plot line this season is a little silly.
Oh, it's okay.
Daemon and Rhaenyra get in an argument, and Daemon gets in the car and drives to Harrenhal. I'm sorry, gets in the Caraxes and drives to Harrenhal. It's like pure dad's had enough energy. Like, I can't take this shit anymore.
And then he's like, you know what I need? I need a man cave. And he just starts splitting wood, and now it's like HGTV, the house.
He's like
the house
tripping
of
balls
the
whole time. Doing drugs and shit. It's really like this one lady fucking with his mind or something with like weirwood shit. I don't know.
No. Harrenhal's always been haunted, Chris.
Yeah, but it's like it's definitely Alice Rivers is like part of the mind fuckery that's happening here.
Yeah, but I don't know like how. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So fucking HOTDHGTV is happening. On one side of the screen.
David's plotline is very silly this season. There are some funny moments, like when he's like, what is it? Is the pudding now served in this last episode? That got me pretty good. I also I even like the acting of the maester in King's Landing, who is just Planned Parenthooding it up in that shit all the time. He's like moon teeing it, like I feel like every season.
Oh, I mean, well, I mean, it's good that they had moon tea, but
right.
it's also clear that it's not available to just about anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so what are your Dragon House opinions? Because I am still digging it. Every Sunday, ass is in the seat at 9 p.m. to watch that shit.
Yeah, my guitarist was here for a couple weeks because we played a show. We played actually with Crip Sermon in Philly, and then he had to record guitars for the record, so he stuck around. And then we also had to go to like our friend's wedding, so he was here for a couple weeks, and he was staying in the house. And so while he was here, me, him, and my bassist husband, Justin, we got our butts in our seats and we dragoned for 2 weeks in a row together, and it was very fun, even though it was very hot in here. And then I got to watch the first 3 episodes again because Tanner came home from tour. My husband, his job is touring. He came home from tour. And I was like, I get to watch them again. I love stuff. I love watching stuff I love again because I always see something different. I also love watching it with another person because one of my favorite things to do is talk about my experiences with media. Wow, have you guessed that? Have you guessed that by now? I really love watching movies and TV with other people so that I can talk about it with them because I always learn something from the people I watch it with too. So it's really fun to have a big watch party. I haven't really done a big one this time, but
you still got to come over and watch it over at my new apartment, which you haven't seen.
Maybe when the red line is working again, Chris. It's very not working right now. It's very
have Tanner drive you over and just go hang out and have a nice time.
Yeah, I know, but he has a life too, so it's hard.
Anyway,
I would like to.
Any further Dragon House opinions?
I don't. The first episode, I was like, I don't remember anybody's name. I was like, it's been too long, and I was like, who the fuck is that? And I was just, it just took me a little bit. I don't know. And I did find the first episode, like the first time I watched it, I found it a little meh. I really didn't like the part where Rhaenys is telling Daemon, like, yo, your niece wife is grieving, like, you gotta let her grieve the kid. And then he's like, okay, fine. And then it cuts to, like, her finding the kid's remains, like, immediately, and I was like, oh, that was kind of, I don't know. It just felt
there's some fast travel happening in that show. I think that I get it. You just got to cut it down because there's so much shit to get through in this story. But yeah,
but I don't know that we needed to see that because the scene wasn't very compelling.
I can agree.
I just didn't think. I don't know. That was the one thing that I was like, I don't know about this. I did really like that we got to see the Wall in this time period and the Starks.
Yes,
which I don't think we had up until then. So, that was interesting seeing what was going on up north at the Wall, or down south as the Wildlings.
Yeah, and that's like Jacaerys doing all the recruitment stuff. Like he's actually kicking ass this season.
Jace doing good, and like Rhaenys kicking some ass, and Baela too. Baela kicking some ass.
Jace and Baela together actually are kind of power coupling it. Somewhat, and like they had like one or two scenes, and they had like really interesting interactions.
I gotta say, the like acceptability of incest within this particular family kind of makes everything harder to interpret. Because you're like, anybody could fuck anyone at any time. Yeah. There's no law. There's no rules. It does, because so often you make sort of your calculations about how people will socialize and like maybe the deals they'll make or the people they'll fuck over, but it becomes more difficult when anyone could fuck each other at any point and develop some kind of romantic alliance. It's harder. Anyway, yeah, Dragon's good. Still like the Dragon.
House of Dragon doing good. I enjoy it very much. Also a good TV show this year was the Fallout series, which I was not expecting the Amazon Prime Fallout series to be perhaps my favorite video game adaptation into a TV show ever. It did all of it so well. You didn't just take the video game plot and make a TV series out of it. You just put it in the same world, in the same universe, and made a story out of it that hit all the same vibes that the Fallout series does. It's an adaptation of the tone that is done very well.
Yeah, I also was like, I remember, it was coming out, and I really love Kyle MacLachlan, so I was like, oh, interesting, Kyle MacLachlan's in this. That's kind of, I wasn't expecting that. And I was trying to convince Tanner to watch with me, because like my husband and I live very gender swapped life. Like, I'm the one who likes video games, and he does not play video games at all, and so, most people would be like, whoa, why doesn't your husband want to do this? And I'm like, well, because he doesn't fucking know any of this shit. And so I was like, do you want to maybe give this a try? It's based on a video game.
This was me with Rebecca too.
Yeah, exactly. So we played the trailer. I hate trailers, but he likes them. Played the trailer, and he was like, yeah, okay, we'll try it. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to be good. I said, to be fair, like, my bar is low. But then we watched the first episode, and I was like, that was a good first episode. And then it was pretty good. I too was like, wow, this didn't suck. That's shocking.
I was very surprised, and I had almost the exact same conversation with Rebecca, where I was like, listen, it's a video game show. Things might get a little funny. I don't know how good it is. And then, yeah, we watched the first episode, and we were both like, oh shit, that was good. And then we just like kept watching more of it together.
Yeah, I know, same. And I was just really pleased that we both enjoyed it, and it was, yeah, what a surprise. And also, I mean, Kyle MacLachlan doesn't feature in the show very much. He's like in the first and last episodes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's it. So there were a lot of, the other thing that was surprising to me is there were a lot of celebrity cameos, but it was actually done quite well. Like, Kyle MacLachlan and a few other people had roles, but it didn't feel weird. And I was like, damn, I don't know how they managed that. But yeah, it was really good. Worth watching.
Almost as good as it gets for like cross-medium adaptation, I think.
I can't think of what's another video game that was made into a movie?
I mean, there's like your Mortal Kombats and your Street Fighters, and if you're talking about like movies and stuff.
Those are good in a different way.
Yeah, like camp, right? If that's what you want.
Yeah, I would gladly watch the Mortal Kombat movie like any day of the week.
Okay, but just a big old thumbs up, big old Pip-Boy thumbs up.
Oh yeah,
to Fallout there. I've also been watching season 4 of The Boys. And it's just so fucking funny to me that apparently this was the season that a bunch of people realized that this is like a political satire kind of thing, because it's like the most
I don't know
heavy-handed like political satire thing, to the point where you're like, is this even a satire anymore? Kind of. So I don't understand why people are all of a sudden realizing that Homelander is a critique of a lot of things in America.
Yeah, it's like extremely, like, it's so heavy-handed. There's like a male glove on the hand.
Yes.
And it weighs 20 pounds.
Yes.
Like, that's how heavy-handed it is in the first. And so coincidentally, I started watching The Boys maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I just started the second season. So I'm not as far along as Chris, so I guess we won't really talk about.
Yeah, I'll try to not talk about anything
season one
past that. I do think season 1 and 2 are the best ones, so you have that going for you, but they're still entertaining.
Yeah, when you were like, people are butthurt that it's political, and I was like, were they clinically brain dead?
Yeah,
the first
I don't fucking understand.
Like, what? I mean, you could watch a trailer and know that it's like a
I fundamentally don't fucking get
about...
the type of person that sees that show and thinks like there's no political stuff being talked about.
Yeah, it surprises me how much of America doesn't think. Not that we are enlightened intellectuals or anything.
No,
but like,
but that's the thing. Is like, I don't understand. It's like,
refuse.
I'm kind of dumb, guys. There's like plenty of media that I get through, and I'm like, what was the point of that? And someone explains it to me. It's actually like this whole deep thing, and I'm like, oh, but like.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that some people can't even grasp just that base level stuff. Yeah. It's wild.
Anyway, I do think season 4 has gotten a little over the hill in terms of just being there to be like, let's be super fucking gory and kind of edgy in a way. I mean, the show is kind of that way from the beginning. It is perhaps the goriest show I've ever seen.
I very rarely recoil and physically pull into myself and turn away. And I did that multiple times in season 1. I was just
It's gonna get worse. I promise you. It gets worse.
God. All right.
So
we'll see how.
Yeah, I've been feeling meh about this latest season. I still have to watch the season finale. Actually, I'll probably do that tomorrow morning. Moving on to another show that my partner turned me on to, The Great Pottery Throwdown, which was an HBO Max thing. It is basically the Great British Bake Off, but pottery. It's like the exact same production crew, the exact same style, exactly that.
We're gonna have like the great knitting needles or whatever.
Okay, but that would be fine because like the reason I actually love this show is because it is competitive, but it's competitive in a way that's cooperative, and like everyone's celebrating each other and helping each other do these like crazy, insane pottery things and I'm like learning about like the craftsmanship of things. And what's pretty funny is that one of the judges, he like routinely cries when someone presents something, but like out of joy, he's like, "You made such a good plate. It's so beautiful." He's like, it's like every other episode he's tearing up about so like a fucking pot or a cup that someone made. It's funny as fuck, but it's also charming.
Oh, wow. That's intense,
I just wish more reality TV competition shows were like this celebratory of the skills instead of like the sort of like cutting down competitiveness that I see.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, that I always thought like, why would I ever care about the Great British Baking Show? Because my coworkers are talking about it, and then Tanner was like, no, we should watch it. And I was like, I'm gonna hate this, but nope, it's great. It's great because it doesn't fall into the trappings of American reality television because it's not made in America. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh. All right. Continuing down my list, I've also been watching The Acolyte, which is not done yet. It's the latest Star Wars show. And I feel like Star Wars shows are like so hit or fucking miss in terms of their quality. Yeah. And The Acolyte, I think, is not hitting right now.
Yeah, I have heard it's bad, so I have not. We've had some bad Star Wars experience. Like, neither Tanner nor me are very into Star Wars anyway. So, but we really liked we actually enjoyed The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's a fun one.
But, obviously I have like some nits to pick with it, but generally speaking, it was pretty good. And for just like a show to watch that had a little something going on beyond the the A to B to C. But then, and we also really liked Andor. That was quite good.
Rebecca watched Andor and said it was pretty great too, so I still have to watch that. I heard that that's like top tier Star Wars TV.
Yeah, it's just a really good like criminal heist kind of adaptation, and the acting was good. It was quite interesting. But then we tried to watch the one where baby Princess Leia. We couldn't even get through the first episode. It was so fucking bad.
Yeah. That Rebecca and I watched that whole thing. I forget the fucking name of that show too. That's how like unremarkable it was.
And then so we just couldn't even get through the first episode. It was so bad. And then there was another one too that we started and we're like, this is bad. Oh, Ahsoka.
Yeah, we didn't even start that.
We got through the first episode and then it was like, nope. So I saw The Acolyte was coming out.
Oh, it was the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that Leia was in. That does not really get that much better, even with like the Vader encounter towards the end of it.
It was, no. So, yeah. So then we saw, The Acolyte. We're like, no, like we've had 2 failures recently. We can't do this to ourselves again.
It's not worth your time, I think. Rebecca and I are going to finish it because at this point we're invested, but like, Okay. And then like I've been to the movies a handful of times.
Me too. Yeah.
I saw Dune Part 2, and that was like a pretty.
As did I.
That's really good adaptation of Dune, I would say. I kind of, maybe they should have just crammed it into one movie. I don't know if it really needed to be two. You probably could have cut sub stuff, but it was honestly, it's not like that bad, and it was really interesting. I think I talked about this in a previous episode of TBC, but like I went in there on an edible, and like the sandworm riding scene, I like fucking like the bass was hitting so hard. I was like freaking the fuck out, man. Like I was riding Shai Hulud right with that dude.
You were riding the Shai Hulud hole. Yeah, from what I remember.
I was indeed. So that was pretty good. I also saw Furiosa, the Mad Max thing, and that was like hitting those vibes pretty good too. Fantastic action set pieces. It's not highbrow. It's not life-changing, but like it's got a fucking half-hour sequence where people are like fighting on a truck that's moving through a desert. That's rad as hell.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I gotta say, I was very skeptical because of how much I loved the last one, even though it was like quite a while ago. I was just like, I don't know if they're gonna do it again. And I gotta say, as much as I love Anya Taylor-Joy, or Anya, right? Anya Taylor-Joy. As much as I have loved her in other films, I really questioned that casting.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was like, I don't know, man, I don't know if I'm gonna like her in this role, but I actually thought she was good. I thought she did a good job. Yeah, so I also went to the movies for both of those to fucking Jordan's. Because if you're from here, that's you go to the furniture store to see the movies. I mean, you want the rumbly chairs.
I just go to the AMCs, but...
Well, so I prefer the AMC, but I have some friends who I don't see that much, and they really like the Jordan's Furniture theater, so we go there together occasionally to see films. And if you're not from the Boston area and you're like, what the fuck, why are they going to the furniture store to see movies? The answer is, I actually don't know who came up with this pairing or why this is happening, but there's a small chain called Jordan's Furniture, and they have these like big furniture, showroom warehouse things, but they also have IMAX theaters, which, are the theaters that have like the huge screen and the butt kickers, as they like to tell you before every viewing. Yeah, it's very strange. It's one of those things that I never questioned until I started meeting people who weren't from here, and I was like, yeah, that is pretty fucking weird. There's also like a jelly bean museum and like zip lining for children in this. I don't know.
Jordan's Furniture got a bunch of weird amusement park shit happening in there too. Like, you want to buy a sofa? No, then watch a movie. What? You wanna put your kid in a zip line? There you go.
Jelly beans?
Fucking go on the zip line, Jimmy. Mom and I got to argue about this couch.
It's so good. Anyway. I also enjoyed both of them. This Dune franchise, I'm sure I'm gonna be like shot on the street for this, but like this adaptation of Dune is like what I always dreamed of for the series, so I'm pretty happy with it.
It does a good
while
job.
I did love the visual elements of the David Lynch one. The changes to the story were too much for me. Too much 5 me. So I really like that this one is sticking to the story pretty closely. What else? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't have a ton of time to watch stuff this year. I have seen a few movies, but not many really stuck out as great. Dune and the new Mad Max film. And then I also saw Late Night with the Devil, which I liked a lot more than I thought I would, honestly, because there was a period of time where it was like the few weekends this year where Tanner was home from tour and we had time to watch a movie together. We would pick something from like my watch list, or I would just let him pick something. And God, we just had a real losing streak for a while. And then it was like, all right, well, I don't know. Late Night with the Devil has been talked about. Let's watch it. And at that point, we were just like, whatever it is, we're fine. I really think it's worth seeing if you're into horror films, or I don't know. I thought it was worth seeing. Not like, I'm not like, oh my God, 5 stars, best movie ever, but like, I gave it a 3.5 pushing a 4, which is like a pretty good score for me. I'm a pretty hard grader with stuff, so I would see it. The premise is pretty basic, and I like that. I like movies that feel claustrophobic like that. Like there is one set, basically. There's one cast of characters. You know, there's a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some occult elements. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty great. I would definitely see that. In terms of TV, I did watch the latest season of Fargo earlier this year. And I'm making the joke that people from the Midwest say Fargo in their Midwestern accent.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Fargo is a fucking fantastic series. I didn't love this latest installation as much as I thought I did. Like, when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. This is just like all the other ones. But then by the end, I kind of realized that a friend of mine was right about it, because I was like, I had just started watching it. I was maybe a couple episodes in, and a friend of mine had finished it, or maybe he hadn't finished it, but I don't know. He was like further along than me or whatever. And was like, nah, this season sucks. Like, it's just this blah, blah. And I was like, really? You think it sucks? And then after the end, I was like, I don't know that I would say it sucked, but it was unsatisfying. But I would highly recommend the other 3 seasons of that show. God, it is some of the greatest TV I've seen. Chris, if you haven't seen Fargo, fucking get into it.
I think Rebecca and I started it once or twice, and like we just petered out immediately. I'm not sure why it's not grabbing us.
Really? That's strange. The movie or the TV
show?
Huh. Well, all of the seasons are unreal. Well, they're unreal. Like, you can watch them. You don't have to watch them in order. It's fun when you get the one Easter egg that tells you like how it's loosely related to the others, but it's not necessary. I don't know. I find them very compelling and well acted. Like, there's one. They take place in different time periods. In and around Fargo, North Dakota, and Minnesota. Anyway, otherwise, let's see. We actually really enjoyed Blue Eye Samurai.
I watched that too.
So Tanner had never seen anything touching upon the anime landscape.
What
and
a blessed existence.
Well, that was me for a long time. I am a notorious like hater of anime generally, but I was like, well, this seems like a way to dip your toe in that. Although my dental hygienist was like, that's not an anime. She's a huge weeb. I love her.
Yes,
and
I would
like,
also not technically
enough.
classify it as true anime, but it's a good starter set.
Yes, that was my point. I was like, it's fucking anime enough. Get off my back. Get out of my teeth. Out of my mouth about it. No. I mean, she's right. You're right. But I was like, well, this is a good taste of what, I think anyway. We really loved it. And this was after it was recommended to us many times. Really great. And then we watched Castlevania, which he also fucking loved, which I also think is a fantastic show.
I should watch the rest of that. I've only watched the first season.
Oh, yeah, you definitely watch the rest of it, because I had also only seen the first season. And we watched it all together. We haven't watched Castlevania Nocturne, but supposedly it's just as good. But yeah, great show. Obviously, House of the Dragon. Oh, right. We ended up watching Delicious in Dungeon, an actual anime, because he was
now that's anime.
Yeah, he was like, but it looks like, it's like Castlevania. I was like, it's not like Castlevania. But
I have not watched Delicious in Dungeon yet. I'm going to try to convince Rebecca to try an episode to see how much we can stand. But just watching the trailer, that's a fucking anime.
Yeah, and so he put it on, and I was like, whatever, I'll just fall asleep to this. I don't care. And then he just kept putting them on right when we were about to fall asleep. So, like, I'm just like, okay, whatever. They're making a meal out of the dungeon creatures. All right, cool. And it's, it's like medieval fantasy setting, so that works for us. But I really have a hard time with how annoying the voices are.
Oh, yeah. Are you watching it in English dub, or are you watching it in Japanese with subtitles?
Japanese with subtitles.
Oh, yeah. You're getting the real experience.
Yeah. I hate dubs of any. I don't, like I said, I don't really watch a lot of anime, but in general, I fucking hate dubs. I don't understand it. Just fucking read the lines of text. Unless you have a visual impairment, which I understand why you might choose a dub, but like, Anyway, what did the director what did Bong Joon-ho say about subtitles? So Parasite's one of my favorite movies of all time, and Bong Joon-ho, the director, says, once you overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you'll be introduced to so many more amazing films. And he's right.
Some fucking shaded people.
It's deserved.
Yes,
Americans,
I agree.
The West is so afraid of watching anything that isn't in English. Oh no, they have to read a subtitle. Oh, they gotta pay attention. Oh no, get fucked. Anyway.
Watch intelligent material like Delicious in Dungeon and expand your horizons.
Well, I won't spoil anything for you, but the show is not what it seems.
I see.
But it takes a long fucking time to discover that, so I actually think it's become quite interesting. I still find the audio very, very annoying, but the story has become quite interesting. So, yeah, that's everything. I saw Fallout. Started watching The Boys, like I said. Dragon House, woohoo! Like Dragon House 2024, pew pew. Yeah. All right, let's end with video games. Guess what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I think I've only played like one video game this year. I'm going to hand the brief mention to I've been playing bits of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with my brother when we both have time to simultaneously play a video game in the same room, which is like almost never. So we're like kind of like taking our time through it. And that game, I mean, it's just the Final Fantasy VII story again, but they're starting to add like a little twist to it. There are too many fucking mini games in that. They turn everything into a mini game. Every fucking thing that happens in that game is for some reason like a tiny game within a game. It's so silly. So
those poor programmers, man, like they're like, how many fucking mini games are we gonna have to make? But
it's still the well done version of that story that's fleshed out so far. So like I have been enjoying it. But the whole reason we're here talking about video games is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree came out, and it's more Elden Ring. I'm totally here for it. It's hitting more places to discover, more cool boss fights, more cool armor and spells and shit to try out. I don't even care that they call it the Skadu tree, which is a very silly name for a shadow tree. It's like the Skibbity toilet tree or fucking whatever.
Oh man, I saw. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yes, yeah, Skadu.
Skibbity tree, but. Listen, Elden, like, FromSoft just does the thing I want video games to do so often.
Me too.
Give me a little bit of a challenge. Give me, like, a cool setting. I don't even really need, like, an out-front story that much. And just give me, like, a cool thing to see around every corner. Like, what's coming next? I gotta get there. That's what I want a video game to do. And they hit the mark so fucking well.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm absolutely in love with the universe. It's a beautiful game. It's fun. It's challenging. So in classic Paris fashion, I have not had a lot of time to play video games. It's always the first thing that gets cut and the last thing I get back to. But I did make a little bit of time to start the DLC. So Chris and I got Moog taken care of, and then I touched the arm. Went to the Shadow World. We did 2 missions together. They were brief. They involved a lot of screaming. I haven't really gone very far. I don't even think I've finished a boss. Maybe I've done 2 or something. 2.
I think so.
I think we did 2.
Yeah.
I think we did 2. And I've barely seen anything of the world, so
there's a lot.
I've got a lot of playing.
They crammed a lot in there.
I know, and I love. Every time I'm like, how can they make an interesting story again? And they fucking do it every time. Every fucking time. I am so invested. I would love to know what fucking Mickey's doing over here. What Mickey and Messy's got going on in the shadow. Really interested to know. I just love it. It's really... all I do on this show is complain about how things don't surprise me. Things are so plotting. They're so like yada yada leads to yada leads to yada, whatever. And God, the stories in these games, I always find so compelling because they surprise me constantly. So interesting, dark, but still there's a soul there, I think. It's about running around with a big morning star and smashy and murder, but like there's other stuff going on.
Yeah. There's like these subtle plot lines about throwing yourself against the same wall over and over, or like being obsessed with one thing that like takes over your whole being, and like all sorts of like different little nuanced things about like sacrificing yourself for something, or like it's just so well done.
And you've got really complicated relationship dynamics. You've got storylines that extend into different realms, as as we have with the Shadow of the Erd Tree, into extraterrestrial in many cases. I mean, it's good stuff. I can't wait for the day someone spins all this out into like books or something, and they're actually good. I've seen a couple comics, but I did not pick them up. So I don't know, but yeah, this is the kind of stuff I would love to read about.
All right. Do you have any other video game related things to mention?
I mean, it's an illegal move, but check out Gobsmacked.
Yeah, that's right. I did the music. I'm working on the final confrontation music as we speak. Well, not as we speak right now, but like, during.
Yeah, Chris is writing music while he's recording this podcast.
But like, I've been hard at work at it. I've got a good skeleton going. I think I'm going to try to flesh the rest of it out over the week that we recorded this. I'm excited to like kind of close the book on that and say like, hey, I made a whole soundtrack for a whole game, and Paris of course is our goblin protagonist, our gladiator fighter. I think you did a lot of cool sounds, and it's just so fun to like have you in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you made a dream come to life for me. It's crazy. Like I got to live 3 dreams this year, so like hell yeah,
Yeah.
Sometimes things.
Check out Gobsmacked by Ash and Adam Games. I believe the full version is going to get put out sometime around mid to late August. So
yeah. So right when this episode
exactly, it's out. Go to Steam right now. Buy it. So they make more games and they hire me again.
Yes, I will. I actually am going to put links to all the stuff we talk about in the episode notes.
Fucking luck.
Should be easy. Yeah, Gobsmacked was really cool. It's a first-person shooter roguelike. You get to be a little goblin in the like goblin apocalypse, and you're trying to kill robots and stuff. It's pretty silly and fun. Chris wrote a really amazing score, and I got to be the voice of the goblin. Well, me and some hyenas mixed in, but same.
Yeah.
I don't know, another exercise in computerized pain, not a video game, but I just started a course in R, and it hurts. That's all.
I'm trying to learn how the internet works as a whole for some networking studies, just for like, some possible side career things that I might want to get cooking, but also I've always wanted to know, how the fuck does the internet work? So it's been fun learning about networking and IT and stuff like that. So we'll see how far that goes. But it's hard. It's difficult.
Yeah. I've never taken to programming well. I barely have to do much at work. Like my whole life revolves around SQL basically. But man, learning R has been harder than I thought, because the course was advertised to me as needing quote unquote no prerequisites, which was a lie. So it's cool. So yeah, I've been doing like watching the lectures and doing homework, and then doing extra homework because I'm so bad at this. So I hope that by the time this episode comes out, I have survived. The problem is that passing in this course is not 65%, it's 80%. So fuck me, I guess. Yep. I did not know it was a graduate level course. Again, I was lied to. I want to stress that. I am having a hard time. So I am, it's like, it's just one of those things where I always feel so stupid. Like I always feel dumber than people. Just a lot of the time. I'm like, damn, I really wish I was as smart as blah, like whatever. You know, I know people who like work on vaccine research, you know, and I'm just like, well, God, just throw me in a volcano.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What do I got to give to the world? You know? So I frequently feel pretty dumb anyway. And then this course is just making me feel like, Paris, have you ever paid attention to anything in your life?
I know the feeling.
Woo, just feeling a little brain dead over here. Yeah. It's just, my problem is that this course it's just like, hey, can you memorize like 300 new commands in a language you just learned? Like, no, I actually cannot. And it's like, what the fuck? Like,
unless
there's
you're doing it regularly,
many...
like you just have to do it regularly, and like, who has the time to do that if it's not like your regular life thing? So you just got to find reasons to do it.
Well, yeah, that's why I did all because they were like, oh, the homework's optional. You don't have to do it. Like, you should just be able to watch the lectures and take the quiz. Yeah, I did that, and I fucking did not pass the quiz the first time. And so then I did all the homework and was like, oh, I now understand. It's almost like the homework is necessary. Why is it optional? I don't understand why the homework is optional in this course. So I did all that, and then they also have an extra assignment if you want more practice. So I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us as we have just a regular conversation about things we enjoy that are not terrible books.
Yeah, we're normal human beings that like to do things, and so are our patrons. Thank you to the normal human beings like Anya, Ben, Donnie, Emily, Jakub, Jared, Lycoris, Renee, Scott, and Will, who are our bad bookworms. Our exacting editors, Kieran, David, D, Emmy, Funny Robot with Antennas, Greg, Harry, Seven, Martin, Root Beer Cutie, and the Ugly One. Our loathsome librarians, Veronica, Senior, Arant, Feast with the Least, Yanka, Luchek, Of the Void, the Taco-Eating Unicorn of the Hot Springs, Patricia, Robin, and Austin. And our pesky publisher, Miles May, as well as our Ko-fi donors like our ever-faithful Kiwi Thing, and Martin F. and Brenna, who helped relieve us of terrible books. If you want some terrible books we've read for the show, you can buy them over on our Ko-fi page. Will anyone accept the challenge to become an archivist this year? What heinous, monstrous tome will you force us to read? All right, Paris, I'm going to sign off this call because it's quite late in the evening right now. It's almost 1 a.m., but it's been fun talking about things that we enjoyed doing and consuming this year.
Yeah, it was a fun change of pace. Even though this was sort of a, I don't know, unplanned in a way.
Emergency escape hatch episode.
Yeah, it happens every once in a while. I mean, we've been doing this for 9 years. You know, it's going to happen sometime.
And we're professionals now.
Sure, sort of. Someday, I don't know, will I ever put this on my resume? The answer is no.
I technically have put it on some resumes for like audio stuff. So
well, that's because you do all the editing and you've written music that's on the show. That's totally fine. No one needs to know about this. Know about it. Anyway.
All right, everyone, go consume some good media. Enjoy yourselves, please. And we'll see you next time with another terrible book. Fuck. God damn it.
Oh, God, it's happening again. We still have more. There's only a few more. All right, Chris, we got 4 more. We have 4 more to record for the year. We can do it.
I know. We can do it. All right.
Hype us up. Hype us up.
Hype us up. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Terrible Book Club. Terrible Book Club is an independent podcast produced by your hosts, Paris and Chris. Sound design and audio editing by Chris, with sound effects and music by Epidemic Sound and sometimes also Chris. Our theme song is Kiss by Yearn, which is, you guessed it, actually also Chris. You can find more of his soothing synthy sounds on Bandcamp at yearn.bandcamp.com. Do you want us to review a book of your choice on the show? Do you want access to some extra audio-visual weirdness? If so, become a patron at patreon.com/terriblebookclub. If you'd like to send us a one-time tip instead, you can do that at ko-fi.com/terriblebookclub. You can also support TBC for free by sharing the show on social media, following our accounts on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or Goodreads, telling your friends about your favorite episode, or by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or anywhere else on the internet. To send us book recommendations or your adorable pet photos, send an email to terriblebookclub@gmail.com.